Right now, at this very moment, your brain is doing something dangerous. It's calculating what others think of you, whether you said the right thing, whether you're enough. And while you're trapped in this invisible prison of approval, your energy, your peace, and your life are quietly slipping away. But 500 years ago, a man discovered something that the world still refuses to accept. He found that the most powerful sentence a human being can ever say is just two words: who cares? His name was Michel de Montaigne, and what he taught will either set you free or terrify you. Stay till the end, because the last lesson changes everything. Every single day, the average person spends 70% of their waking hours thinking about what others think of them. That's not a habit. That's a mental illness that society has normalized. You check your phone, not for information, but for validation. You replay conversations, not to learn, but to make sure nobody is upset with you. You change your opinions in a room full of people, not because you were wrong, but because you were afraid of being judged. And here's the terrifying part. Every time you seek someone's approval, you hand them a remote control to your emotions. They can press happy, they can press sad, they can press worthless, and you'll feel it instantly. Montaigne saw this 500 years ago, and he called it the most dangerous weakness a human being can have. Michel de Montaigne was born in 1533 in France. He had wealth, power, and status, but he noticed something that haunted him. The more he cared about the world's opinion, the less he recognized himself. So he did something radical. He locked himself in a tower library and spent 10 years studying one subject, himself. And he discovered a brutal truth: your attention is the most valuable currency you own. More valuable than money, more valuable than time. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. If your attention is locked on what people think of you, then your entire life becomes a performance. Not a life, a performance. And Montaigne asked one devastating question. If you spend your whole life performing for an audience, when do you actually live? Montaigne created a concept that psychologists still use today. He called it the Arrière Boutique, the inner back room of the mind. Imagine your mind as a shop. The front of the shop is for the world, for customers, for opinions, for noise. But behind the counter, hidden from everyone, there's a back room, a private space, your space. Montaigne said, "We must reserve a back shop, all our own, entirely free, where we establish our real liberty and our principal retreat." This means, let the world be chaotic, let people judge, let opinions fly. But inside your back room, nothing touches you. This is where your real self lives, the self that doesn't need approval, doesn't need validation, doesn't need anyone's permission to exist. Most people don't even know this room exists. They've been living in the front shop their entire lives, performing, pretending, exhausting themselves for strangers. Here's what nobody tells you about seeking approval. It doesn't just waste your energy, it physically rewires your brain. Neuroscience shows that when you constantly seek validation, your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, grows stronger, and your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for confidence and decision-making, grows weaker. In simple words, the more you care what people think, the more anxious you become. And the more anxious you become, the more you care what people think. It's a prison with no walls. Montaigne understood this centuries before brain scans existed. He wrote, The thing I fear most is fear itself. Not danger, not failure, not death. Fear, because fear of judgment is the chain that keeps intelligent people living small, invisible lives. And the key to breaking that chain? Not courage, not confidence. Just two words, who cares? Detachment is not about becoming cold or heartless. Montaigne was one of the most compassionate writers in history. Detachment means, I choose what deserves my emotional energy and what doesn't. Someone insults you? Who cares? Not because it doesn't hurt, but because their opinion was never qualified to define you. You failed at something? Who cares? Not because failure doesn't matter, but because your worth was never tied to one result. Someone left you? Who cares? Not because love isn't important, but because your completeness was never dependent on another person. This is what Montaigne meant. Who cares is not apathy. It's the most advanced form of self-respect. It's saying, my peace is not for sale, my energy is not free, and my attention goes only where I decide it goes. One of Montaigne's most radical ideas was this: stop pretending you know everything. He had a medal engraved with the words Q says G. What do I know? He wore this as a daily reminder that certainty is an illusion. And here is why this is powerful for you. Most of your anxiety comes from trying to predict and control things that haven't happened yet. Will they like me? Will I succeed? Will this work out? Accept uncertainty and watch how quickly your anxiety loses its power over you. Montaigne spent 10 years in his tower, alone with his thoughts. Most people can't survive 10 minutes of silence without reaching for their phone. Why? Because solitude forces you to meet the one person you've been running from your entire life, yourself. In silence, there are no distractions. No social media likes to make you feel worthy. No conversations to hide behind. Just you and your thoughts. And for most people, that's terrifying. But Montaigne discovered that solitude is not loneliness. It's the birthplace of mental strength. In solitude, you stop hearing the world's voice and start hearing your voice. The voice that knows what you actually want, who you actually are, and what actually matters. If you can learn to sit alone in a room and feel at peace, no person, no situation, and no opinion will ever control you again. Every day you play roles: the good employee, the supportive friend, the responsible adult, the person who has it all together. Montaigne asked a dangerous question: who are you when nobody is watching? If your answer is different from who you are in public, then you've been living someone else's life, not yours. Someone else's. He wrote, the greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself, not to a job, not to a relationship, not to a society's expectations, to yourself. Strip away every role, every title, every expectation. What's left? That's you. And Montaigne says that is the only person worth being. Montaigne was obsessed with death, not because he was morbid, but because he understood something most people avoid. You are going to die. Not someday, not eventually. You, the person watching this right now, will die. And when that moment comes, every opinion you worried about, every approval you chased, every judgment you feared, none of it will matter. He wrote, let us learn to stand firm and fight death. To begin depriving death of its greatest advantage over us, let us deprive it of its strangeness. When you truly accept that your time is limited, something magical happens. You stop wasting it on things that don't matter. You stop performing. You stop seeking. You start living. And that is the ultimate meaning of who cares. Not that nothing matters, but that only a few things matter. Your peace, your growth, your truth. Everything else, let it go. Montaigne spent his entire life trying to answer one question: how should a person live? And his answer was beautifully simple: live as yourself. Not as the world wants you to be. Not as your fears tell you to be. As yourself. If this video made you think differently about even one thing, drop a comment and tell me which lesson hit you the hardest. And if you want more philosophy that actually changes how you think, subscribe and hit the bell. I'll see you in the next one.